20 past here in Moscow. France is one of the countries hardest hit by the wave of terror. Up to 70% of the country's inmates are Muslim, and many see French prisons as a radicalization hotspot, with some even calling them, quote, universities for terrorists. Harry Fear reports.
Well, that's Fleury-Mérogis, Europe's largest prison. It's a high-security facility, and where Salah Abdel Salam, the sole surviving suspect from the November 2015 attacks, was transferred earlier this year. And when the inmates found out, some reportedly welcomed him like the Messiah. So to counter that threat posed by radicalizing forces inside prisons, the cornerstone of national policy has been containment.
We separate these inmates from the rest. It must become a general measure, but it must be done with discernment and intelligence.
But how to discern the radicals from the rest? Well, authorities use a so-called grid of detection, a questionnaire designed to examine for extremism and terrorist tendencies.
Now there is another problem, the politicized form of Islam that was born in the 1920s. Initially, this had visible outward signs, the beard, the clothing, the ritualized prayer and practices. But today, these signs are being deliberately kept hidden, and for two reasons. First, to infiltrate, and then to radicalize, actively and invisibly.
Obviously, they won't say openly that they are radicalized people. They will play the game. They will go to the psychiatrist. They will go to the sociologist. They will meet the Muslim chaplains. Actually, ISIS asked their activists, their soldiers that are put in jails in France, to act like normal, westernized Muslim people and not to show they're radicalized.
So are prisons becoming finishing schools for jihadis? Well, these three terrorists were all radicalized inside prison. Mohammed Merah morphed into a hardened jihadist in prison. He went on to travel to Afghanistan and Pakistan to train. In 2012, he became the Toulouse attacker, killing 7. Sharif Kouachi, one of the 2 Charlie Hebdo attackers, had his jihadi tendencies cemented behind bars. And the 2015 kosher grocery store killer, Ahmed Koulibaly, said prison changed him, it's believed, towards violent ideology. Authorities are stuck between a prison wall and a hard place. If they put the radicalized all in one ward, experts say you consolidate feelings of victimization, making recidivism more likely. If you put hardened militants together, you make hatching new plots easier. But if you were to mix them all up with the general prison population, they'd get a fertile radicalization playing field.
70% of the prisoners in France are Muslim people. So who is moderate? Who is radical? We have right now 1,500 people that are considered radicalized Muslim in prisons. Should we put them out, and then should we gather them in some kind of French little Guantanamo? You know that the far-right movement, the Front National in France, want to create a new Cayenne in Guyana for them.
Indeed, there's now something of a renaissance for the right over this crisis. The message, we told you so.
I've been working on these questions for the last 5 years, and no one was listening to me previously. And now, well-known politicians in France talk about it and discover the truth. It's too late. Most of our prisons have this problem of Islamism inside prison. And the main problem is that what you see within prisons and hospitals is the future 10 years in advance.
So there's a problem of scale and one of strategy. And the pitfalls of this policy may only be borne out in the no doubt dangerous decade to come. Harry Fear, RT, Paris.
Some other headlines in brief now. A bomb blast at a Pakistan hospital, reportedly killing at least 53 people and injuring more than 50. According to local media, a suicide bomber stormed the building and then blew up. No immediate claims of responsibility, but it's feared the death toll may indeed rise as several bodies are believed to be still buried under the rubble. A massive anti-American rally continues in Istanbul against July's failed military coup. The demonstrators are calling on Washington to extradite US-based Fethullah Gulen, whom the Turkish government blames for organizing the attempted overthrow. The cleric is blamed for causing a deep rift between the NATO allies. However, the US government says it won't extradite Gulen without credible evidence of his involvement. A pro-migrant march has brought the Italian town of Ventimiglia to a standstill. Police had to block off the central road after some 300 protesters from the No Border Solidarity group staged the rally. The border town in northwest Italy is frequently used as a crossing point by African migrants trying to get to northern Europe. And the march follows Friday's clashes between refugees and Italian police who are trying to stop them crossing into France. Now, an appalling story has emerged of a 6-year-old girl sold to a cleric for just a goat and some rice in Afghanistan. And next on RT International, the latest edition of Sophie Co.